We're excited to be able to play at home. Been on the road for the first 2 weeks, and two extremely hard-fought games, physical games. Last week at Weber was an extremely physical game. I thought Weber had a great plan against us both offensively and defensively, and I credit our kids for hanging in there and making the plays when we had to get out of there with a win. Winning that game 24-7 and never was really in hand. We were up 14-7 at half because we made a couple of great plays with Kyle and Carlton to get us a lead at half, and then second half we at least ran the ball a little bit more effectively and able to make a couple critical stops on defense as well as special teams. So we were ecstatic to get out of there with a win. I told the guys prior to the game this was going to be a Missouri Valley Conference type atmosphere, and it was. I think they had close to 15,000 people at the game, and the crowd was into it. Their players were into it, and it was a great test for us. So I was excited to get out of there with a win, and now we get to come back home and have all the guys play at home, and lo and behold, College GameDay will be here, and I haven't even coached a game yet. So we're looking forward to the challenges for this week. A lot of logistical things, as well as playing an Incarnate Word team that is from the Southland Conference. That many of you know, that's where Sam Houston's at, that's where McNeese State's at, that's where Stephen F. Austin's at. There's some really good football teams in that league, and they've got some talented players. It's a pretty new program to Division I. But it is a Division I counter game for us, and that's why we wanted to play the game and not end up playing a Division II like we had to last year, or an NAI like a number of schools are having to play, because it's hard to find games. And Jeremy did a great job of getting an FCS counter game for us. So I'll open up for questions.
What can you use from last year, the game day experience, to help prep for this week?
Well, that's a good question. We're going to kind of keep the same routine that we had last year, as far as just kind of keep our kids grounded. It's neat because they'll see all the trucks. They see some personalities coming out to practice. We're hoping to be able to get our guys to go down there on Friday and see the set like we did last year. I think it's a wonderful experience for our guys. I want them to be able to enjoy that. And then on Saturday, it's game day for us, so we won't have the guys down there on Saturday.
Last year, after a week of potential distractions, the team went out 151-0. How confident are you in this year's team's ability to block out any distractions?
Well, I think they'll be able to. There were some distractions, leading into this game, because I think it leaked a little bit that the guys knew that there was a potential for College GameDay to be here, and so. You hope it doesn't make a distraction, but they're also 19 to 21-year-old kids, so I don't think you guys heard a lot of the post-game conferences we had, or interviews we had with our players. They know that their number one job is to play football. They didn't think they played exceptionally well last Saturday, and so I'm looking forward to practice starting today and getting ready for a new week, because we need to improve as a football team, because this is second to last non-conference game, and the clock's ticking for us with our conference season around the corner.
What was the one thing you think you guys struggled with the most against Weber State?
They were a physical football team, and they matched our physicality. We've got really good kids on the offensive line and defensive line, and they held their own and they held their point, and that was not unexpected. I was really impressed with how physical those kids played, and so we didn't struggle in the fact of the game was not really in doubt, as far as I didn't think we were not ready to play or any of those things. I think this was just a really good team that people got to see one game, and that was against Arizona State, and maybe that shows you the caliber of Arizona State. Maybe shows you the caliber of the Pac-12 with like Oregon and what those guys did as well. But that was just a good football team, and I was happy with the way our guys ended up playing after you go back and look at the film on Sunday.
You guys pretty nicked up, Chris, or health-wise, you guys in pretty good shape?
No, we came out of that one really well. The guy that I was probably most concerned about was Christian. Dudzik just, he had the thigh bruise from or quad bruise from Iowa State, and practiced all week, but never got to 100%. And you could tell that. You could tell that from the first play of the game when they threw the flea flicker, and Christian was in pretty good shape, but he really couldn't elevate to try to go knock that ball away. And so we've got to get him healthy. he's the only guy that I think will be held out today from practice.
Is this a game where you hope you can test depth as if the game proceeds the way you hope it to?
Well, whether the game does or not, there's a couple of guys that jump out at us. We've got to play Nick DeLuca a little bit more. He came in a goal line situation, made a really good tackle, and got excited about it, made some good plays. Trey Dempsey, we thought did some good things. He struggled a little bit in his first 3 or 4 snaps, and all of a sudden he got 10 or 12 snaps and started to get more comfortable. MJ Stump on special teams made a really impact play that we're hoping can lead us to giving him a few snaps on defense. Those are guys that just kind of jump out at me, but we've got to continue to develop this depth so we don't have to play Kyle Emanuel 60 snaps and Carlton Littlejohn 60 snaps and so on.
Outside of Kyle Emanuel, who was pretty dominant Saturday, obviously, how do you feel like the rest of the D-line played?
I thought the D-line was really good. Brian Schatz was really, really good. Nate got better. He really took a step forward. Grant Morgan played maybe 40 snaps for us, and he played 15 or 20 against Iowa State, so that was really good for Grant. He held his own against a pretty good center guard combination they have. And then Ambrosius played an awful lot of snaps, and Brad got a little bit better. Alex Hahn got a little bit better. We've probably got to split those snaps up just a little bit more. I thought Brad was gassed, and he probably played 20 more snaps than Alex, and we've got to try to get Alex a few more snaps so we can kind of spread that out a little bit more.
After a day of watching film with Incarnate Word, what can you expect from that team?
I think on defense they're going to probably try to play man coverage against us. That's what Weber had some success doing against us, was trying to lock us down and try to get as many guys at the line of scrimmage as they could and play man coverage behind it. So we've got our challenges of making sure that we can get off press coverage, be able to play some pitch and catch with the quarterback and receivers when they do try to blitz us, and try to create some mismatch. And then on their offense, they've got some skill kids that really can run. They've got a pretty good scheme on offense, trying to run perimeter running game. So it's a different plan than what we faced the first 2 weeks. So that's the biggest challenge, is making sure those young guys, especially those young defensive linemen that haven't played a lot of snaps, understand that this is now a third different game plan that we faced.
So Menard did play, correct?
He did.
Why did you play him? And he was questionable, I think.
He was questionable, but Kyle was tired early, and we needed to get some rotation going. We also know that we're not going to make it through a whole season just with those 3 defensive ends waiting for Mike to get back. Really similar to last year when Brad Ambrosius played in about the 3rd game. We had lost Cole for a little bit. We had lost Jeremy Gordon for a little bit, and Greg, we feel, is ready physically. He just needs some time mentally to catch up with some of our playbook things. But I envision him playing quite a bit the next 2 weeks leading up to conference.
Andrew Bond and I had a couple of receptions, and I know that was a key. We spoke with him in the preseason about getting him more involved in the offense. What does he do so well that you want to see him get the ball more?
Well, he's so versatile, and I think you guys saw that. He can line up as a stationary tight end and block the point of attack. He can line up in a fullback position and run the flat routes and things that we like out of our naked game. And then he can flex out and be a stand-up tight end that we need to continue to find ways to move him around, because he's a mismatch maybe for a corner or for a safety with his size, but yet he's so physical he can play the point of attack on those defensive ends and linebackers. But he's playing an awful lot of snaps and playing at a high level.
Chris, I know you've been a defensive guy, but can you speak to the development of John Crockett over the years since you've seen him here?
John's understanding the game so much better this year. He's wanted to become a student of the game, and he's really kind of vested into that. He's done a great job of coming up more in the office, watching more film, visiting with Coach Polasek, learning more about the protections, learning more about the pass game, as opposed to just, where am I running the football. Moving forward, he's got to be more of a part of our throwing game, because he does have some of that shake in the slot. Not quite like Ryan Smith, but he needs to be able to do some of those things, because we've got to find ways to get him the football other than just line it up in the I formation, handing it to him.
Coach, what did you notice between Carson Wentz against Iowa State and Carson Wentz against Weber State?
He made a couple of poor choices that you know, like hope he doesn't do that. Hopefully he'll learn from him. But in the same respect, it's his second game starting, and he forced a couple of throws that one thing about Carson is he doesn't come off the field and you see big eyes or see a kid rattled. It was, hey, I made a mistake, and let's go back and correct it and move from there. So I really am pleased with his poise, his leadership, and his ability to, you know, forget about the last one, let's go to the next play. And that's what you want. I mean, you want it from a quarterback. You want him to learn from it, but he's no different than a defensive back that gets beat on a vertical play. Boy, you got to have a short memory and go to the next play, because you're our catalyst. He's our quarterback, and I expect him to bounce back really well this week.
So Barnes kicking off now. Why is that?
I wanted to see what Barney could do. No reason. No, Ben didn't do anything. Barney's been kicking really well for us, and maybe to take a little bit of stress off of Ben of having to kick so much. And Barney, we wanted to see him in live action. He's done some good things in practice, and we want to see him in live action. And moving forward, I don't know if we'll be able to travel 3 kickers when you get to a conference game, but if we can, it gives us another weapon. And Barney's leg's a little stronger than Adams as far as if you had to have a 50, 55-yard field goal. But I was really pleased, probably like you guys were, that were at the game. Adams, whatever yard field goal it was, jumped off his foot. And maybe a little bit of altitude, but also with his off-season surgery on his hip, boy, he's got great leg strength and leg power right now.
A chance to maybe go back and look at the tape a little bit. I know you had the 9 penalties. How do you address that with your team? I mean, they look like pretty good aggressive plays, so you probably don't want to take some of that away.
Yeah, the false starts, delay games, we're going to address, and we've got to clean those things up. Jordan Champion had a pass interference. I thought it was pretty good coverage, and that's going to happen. A couple of holding penalties. I think you can call holding on every play. And a defensive guy, you want to have it called every play. An offensive guy, you don't. So those are aggressive penalties. There was only one penalty that we were really disappointed in. We had a personal foul that negated a 6-yard gain, and rather having it 2nd and 4, I think it was like 2nd and 19. Those are the ones we have to avoid, as well as the false start. But the aggressive holding penalty, aggressive pass interference, you know, I don't want to take the aggression out of those kids.
Coach, you talked about hoping that Carson bounces back and be confident that he will against Incarnate Word. Is there a temptation to kind of throw it a little bit more just to get him more comfortable as obviously the conference season approaches?
No, we'll take what the defense gives us, you know, and if people are going to put 8 and 9 in the box to try to stop John and the running backs, we've got to be able to sling it around a little bit. If people are going to sit back, it's all going to be predicated on what that defense does. And Carson won't force the issue. He'll let the game come to him. That's what I really appreciate about Carson is if we've got a combination play called where it's run or pass, he's going to see the pictures that Coach Hedberg and Coach Polasek have designed for him, and he's going to make the right choice. So he's a team guy that will make sure that keep this offense moving.
You mentioned it's your first home game as head coach in College Game Days here. What are your emotions? Nervous, excited, both?
I'm excited. I really am excited. I've been kind of waiting for this moment for a long time. I don't know, sometimes it seems like it was just yesterday, and we were all in here in December, and since then we've had hires and stuff, and it seems like it's been a long time as well. But I'm really excited about leading those guys out of the tunnel. Be my first time doing that. I've always been already on the sideline because I was a sideline coach, so it would be neat for me. I know our players are really excited about it because I can't remember the last time we opened with 2 games on the road. Usually we're at home one of those first 2, so our guys are really excited to play at home. And you know, we've got 10 football games left, and 6 of them are at home, so the schedule kind of leads in our favor now.
What's your reaction? Apparently the 4,000 student tickets sold out in 3 minutes.
That's great. I can't wait to see them standing out there ready to go to get into the Fargo Dome. This is a big recruiting weekend for us, and when you're a prospect that comes on campus and you see all the tailgating lots and see those things full, I think that's really cool. I think the parents really like that. They think, boy, this is a great game day atmosphere. But when you see all those students standing in line to come and watch you play as a prospect, I think that shows something of the pride that the university, the student body has for this football team.
Coach, one more game day question. Can you gauge at all what kind of impact it had on recruiting last year?
I know it helped on Easton Stick. You know, there's one guy that I think he was here last year on game day, and thought that was pretty neat. And it will be a huge impact not only on our football program, on Fargo Moorhead, on our university. Endless the amount of impact it's going to have.